Oh my gosh. Yay, yay, yay. So today we are lucky enough to have on the Trailblazing for Success show, Clarence Neese, who is co-founder and vice president of Orbis Inc. We are really excited to have him. So
yay! Hi, Clarence.
Welcome, Clarence.
Hey, everybody. How y'all doing? Hey, Bruce, Gail, how y'all doing today? Good to see you guys. Thank you guys for the invitation. Really appreciate it for sure.
It's good to see you too. Would you share a little bit about you and also Orbis?
Sure, I can. I mean, I'm not the greatest talker when it comes to myself, but I'll share a little bit with you. I guess so, I'm co-founder, vice president of Orbis. Been doing this for 24 years now, going on 25 years, which is always exciting. You guys know that as you get longer and longer in the tooth. I'm not sure it makes me smarter or not, but it's longer. I promise that. But as vice president, I'm in charge of our client relations, our contracts, all of our accounting, billing inside, internal stuff inside. But wear a lot of hats, as the vice president and as the co-founder. You kind of you start off doing everything, and then as time goes, you get whittled down to the things that no one wants to do, is what I always tell everybody.
So true.
And then at Orbis here, we are a technology company. We provide software and administrative services to our clientele, and our clientele is mainly portfolio managers. I tell everybody we work mainly in the timberland or the forest land sector for timber management, for sustainability, for clients who want to buy land as a part of their asset or part of their portfolio asset management. So
very cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So one of the questions that we love to ask leaders is, and we're in the business of soft skills, or as we like to call them, power skills. Yeah. If you could wave a magic wand and just give everyone in your company and or all your clients and the world this incredible power skill that you think is super valuable, what would that be and why?
I would go with empathy as one of my first. I know you guys are huge on this, so I want to be careful what I step on. I don't want to step on a landmine by any means. You guys know that. I would say empathy, of course, would be one of my tops, but just to kind of maybe give you guys, stay away from it. I know it's one of the things you guys talk a lot about and very powerful on. I would probably go adaptability maybe, or something like that. I think I'm a huge component of, today's environment, like diversity of the work environments that we're in today, the challenges that we're seeing all the time, the uncertainty of certain times that we've been through the pandemic, all the uncertainties that's gone through. I really feel like if I guess a magic wand is what you said, a magic wand. If I had that, I don't think I'd be swacking for gold bars, I think. But but if I had to give everybody something, it would probably be adaptability, I would think. Just because I think that it's such a great skill to have. It's such a powerful skill. And it goes along with it, don't get me wrong. Understand people's emotions and their experiences of others, and understanding that and be able to work with that is really, really important. So I think adaptability falls into the same thing. But again, since we're a technology company, I look at adaptability from that standpoint too as well. So technology changes. We have services and administrative services and software we provide. We have to be adaptable in that as well. So that would probably be my magic word, or it would be my magic soft skill that I would try to instill in everybody. Would be that ability to kind of understand what's going on, adapt to it, adapt projects, help adapting clients, because everything's different and we have to adapt. I wish it was all cookie cutter, but it's just not. So
no, it isn't. That's a great skill to have.
Yeah, and it's tough. It's tough to teach people how to be adaptable. Sometimes it's not that you can't. It's just a tough skill to learn, because you have to. Part of adapting is realizing that you can fail at something and then you can succeed at something. So it's it just can be really, really difficult when it comes down to it.
Yes, and everybody's personalities, as you guys know from dealing with your clients and your family, relatives, everybody you deal with in church, whatever you want to talk about, your abilities and your people skills and the soft skills that you have, those are huge. But then the ability to understand what's going on and adapt to it and be able to be flexible. I don't know. I can think of all kinds of words. I'm going to keep my magic wand under control and just have one little wand swing and say it's adaptable.
You're doing a lot of bippity boppity boo. It's tough.
It's important to have that fairy godmother, giving us that skill. Look, I think it's a really important thing. And I think we all know someone who, when something when the hits the fan, they're like, okay, that happened. what are we going to do? Kind of a yes and, right? Okay, this happened and now we got to do something. Versus the people when that happens who just kind of freeze or run away or break down. And I just think with practice, you can get to a point where you're a little more like, okay, let's take a pause here. This happened. What's next? So
you mentioned, Clarence, that over the last, especially through COVID and up to today, that things have changed a lot. I'm curious to know what you've seen as kind of the biggest challenges that you guys have been facing. Is it the marketplace? Is it different types of customers? Is it just trying to get in the door? What are you finding is some of those things that you're kind of butting your head against?
So we have really good clients. I have to at least say that out loud. We have really good clients, good people. And again, in all industries are somewhat very similar. There's good people in the world, as you guys know that. And so I'd say some of the challenges that we run into in the recent years is going to be around the work environment has changed. Our work environment has changed. It's very sensitive. It's very different now. And so not only is it we'll use sustainability, we'll use diversity, anything you want to throw out there. So not only are we dealing with that internally, but from a challenge standpoint, but it's also externally as well, dealing with clients and dealing with, say vendors, clients, customers, whatever you want to say. When dealing with different groups and different people, that's probably one of the biggest challenges we've had in the last couple of years is adapting to this new world of thinking, new business world of thinking. It's still doing business, but it's doing business in a different, more reflective light, looking at everything, making sure everything's under control, and making sure you're not stepping on toes or doing the wrong thing. You're doing the right thing. And I'll get into that kind of maybe as we have discussions about how we do business. We've always done business. I was taught as long years ago. I had a friend of mine tell me, "You do what's right, not self-serving. And work will follow." And I think of that still to this day. And so you have to do what's right. And then if you do it what's right, then work will follow. So I think that some of the challenges and recently is going to be the differences in the work environments, clients being remote now versus being in a building. So it used to be pretty easy to call on people. Like I said, I was traveling just last week visiting clients. And when you visit clients, it's wonderful. But now they have to come to the office too. But that wasn't around years ago. You just showed up. You could pop in every now and then. You can bring bagels if you wanted to. Come by and see people, and everybody was there. Now you show up on Thursday, and that's not Bruce's day at work. So I'm coming to see Bruce. Where the hell's he at? He's at home. And that's okay. That's a new world. New world.
Pajamas. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So it probably is.
Yeah, so that's just kind of that new thing. So that would be one of the, I guess, if I had to pick a challenge or something like that from that adaptability kind of standpoint, or even that kind of continue that discussion forward, would be something around that. The challenges of the new work environments and people and remote work, all this stuff's happening. Is you got to be ready for that and deal with it. And it's not a bad thing. It's just what's happening. So.
Did you see there was an article I was reading yesterday that Amazon just announced that all of their corporate players have to come in 5 days a week. So they're removing the idea of remote work for corporate, at least. It'll be interesting to see how that affects everybody, because that can be.
It'd be interesting to see. It's a battle. I was in Seattle, so I mean that's exactly what I would hear around the coffee tables. That, and it's going to be a knee jerk reaction to people. And again, they showed, of course, and I don't want to talk about this too long, but in studies showed you that the productivity people were great during the COVID, and everybody was getting their stuff down, but they've showed it's crashed since then, and so companies are going to react to that now and figure it out. So I'm not going to weigh in left or right. I don't want to get involved in that, but yeah, it's an interesting. I didn't see the article, but I did hear what you're talking about. So
yeah, it's crazy. So okay. So thinking back to how it used to be to do business with dropping in with bagels and whatnot, I would love for you to think back to a time when you were part of a team and just there was something kind of dysfunctional or something kind of a breakdown in communication or something wasn't functioning well, right? It wasn't a high performing team. And now you are in a leadership role. And so I'd love for you to think back, how could I go back in time? Like, what would I have done knowing what I know now? What would I do to kind of fix what happened in the past? And you don't have to give names or anything.
That's right. But if it was Bob, we want to know it was Bob, right?
I don't want to throw rocks because I'm sure I'll be throwing them at myself. Don't throw rocks in the glass house, right? I mean, that's again. Right. kind of, I'll jump onto what you said there a little bit, Gail, and I'll go with communication as a huge thing. I always say this even today, and even in meetings I have today, that we all speak English, but I have no idea what you just said. And it's such a huge, powerful statement, because as we talk and we talk ourselves to death, we have meetings, we have conference calls, we send emails and texts, and you name it, the amount of communication that we have is unbelievable. But what we really said is not what we said, or what we think. And so your vocabulary, what you say, how you say it, is so interpretive. And so I'd have to look back and say that there was times on teams where, the projects fell apart because people weren't communicated, didn't understand their roles and their responsibilities, didn't understand, kind of lack of clarity or expectations of what was supposed to be going on in a project. Does that make sense? Yeah. So any project you can think of years ago would have been things like that. It was all communicated. We all spoke English. We all got through it all. We all understood what was happening, but not really. People were isolated. They weren't collaborating. We missed milestones. Something happened. And they would all, to me, stem down to that one word. So.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you.
Yes. And again, I think you asked the second part of that question. I think you said, what would I do differently? I just think that today, and we still, don't want to say we're perfect by any means, but today we try to, communicate, roles and responsibilities as clearly as possible, making sure people know that they can speak out. If they don't feel something's going well, there's a channel of communication they can speak to, or to somebody about what's happening on a project or what's happening in the office, or, and try to encourage an open dialogue with, anybody and everybody, and then again, I might over communicate sometimes on projects, or communicate with clients, over communicate. And I love to talk. You guys know that. And then of course, but I learned as a younger person, or younger, my first part of my career, I talk fast. That. So it's just in my blood, and I cannot slow down. So I don't know why I talk fast. And my younger son talks fast too. He talks just as fast as I do. And so it's, and I don't mind saying it, that my father gave me heck about it. He was like, heck, you're not going to make it if you don't slow down how you speak. And don't think as a kid, I didn't think about that, but it was just what I did. And my younger boy, he gets going like me, and I'm like, yeah, he'll be all right. He'll figure it out. So I could say, again, just communication, I would say, would be something that, as a younger person, not a leader quite yet, but I saw failure in the communications. And then as a leader today, I think communications is still there as a huge thing for people to work on. With teams, collaboration, and heck, at home, at work, anywhere. Yeah, I think it's so critical. We can sit there and talk like we do today on the web meeting here. We sit and talk and we communicate, but what we communicate, what we really say, who knows? It's interpreted differently. So
yeah, do we really understand each other? Right? Do we really understand each other?
It's incredible to us how challenging it is for people to communicate well. Like you said, we all speak English, but I'd have no idea what you just said. It is really remarkable how we can all have a different definition of a word. We have different biases related to specific things that color the way we interpret things.
Or like you said, we're afraid to speak up. Maybe we don't have an environment in which we feel like we could ask the dumb questions, right? Or get clarity, so we just don't say anything at all, and then kind of blindly move forward thinking we can figure it out on our own. So that's crazy.
Yeah. So my next question for you is, what's the best piece of advice you've ever been given, Clarence? What has stood out to you as maybe something, it might have happened yesterday, it might have happened earlier in your career, or even at home, that sticks out as the thing that Clarence Neese lives by?
Hey.
Well, I'm going to go back to what I said earlier, and I don't want to repeat myself, but I think if you ask me that, from what I got from an advice standpoint, and I'll give you two, I just maybe because I don't want to use the first one twice, but I was told early on when we started doing work was to do what's right, not self-serving, and work will follow. And it was about like, don't do something that that you wouldn't do yourself. Does that make sense to you? Like, if this is my project and this is my work, how would you do it? Does that make sense? And it was like, just do it right. And then if the clients go in the wrong direction, pull them back over to what you think you would do right. So that was a huge thing. And as a young man, I was kind of like, I was starting off, I was like, hey, I got to do the most technical work ever. We got to make as much money as we can. I was like, this is what I'm going to do, But But the reality of it was if you do what's right and not self-serving, then work does follow. You're doing, people will believe in you, trust you, understand it, and you're giving the client the right advice. And I tell clients that to this day. Hey, we're getting ready to start this project. I'm like, yeah, I just wouldn't do it that way. I would, if it was me, this is how I would do it. And it's real, true, genuine advice on doing something or doing a project. And so that's kind of one of my things. And of course, I had another client. I'll give you my second one that I tell young people today too, as well. And that was, follow the river of money. So there's a river of money in every industry. Try to position your services at the top of the river. So try to find where the river starts and scoop out your services there, not as the river flows down. So that was great. That was money advice more than anything else.
Yeah,
but that was my favorite one. Do what's right, not self-serving. But the second one was just a tidbit for you guys as well.
I love it. I love both of those.
Yes,
I love both of those. Okay. So to wrap us up, I would love for you to share something you're looking forward to, something that's inspiring you right now, or something that's making you really happy.
Awesome. So I kind of always tell everybody that I'm competitive at heart. So, something that inspires me and makes me happy. So, I'm competitive at heart. So it's always been, doing what this competitiveness, this consultingness in my heart. So I've always kind of said, hey, we have to do what's right, not self-serving, do it this thing. And this is what happens. And so I've really found that what inspires me every day is the ability to help others from a consulting standpoint. It's in my blood. And so again, helping clients do projects, helping employees grow their careers, anything like that is always what makes me happy and inspires me as kind of going forward is like, hey, this is how to make Orbis better. How do I make the employees, our clients better? How to make our partners better? Seeing people grow and seeing people progress is pretty huge in my life is what I think. I'm huge on students right now. I'm mentoring students right now, trying to get them into our industry, trying to help them in their careers. That is so important. And I probably have to say what makes me happy and inspires me for sure.
That's great.
I love that. And that's what makes you a great leader too.
That's right.
It's incredible. So thank you, Clarence, for being a part of this and sitting down and chatting with us for a little while today.